Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. Got the news of Garrett Dellinger not going to play in the ballgame on Saturday. How big a deal is that for LSU?
It's a big deal, I think. I mean, look, Dellinger has obviously been a consistent starter for you for the last 3 years, and honestly, I think he's been probably one of the least penalized offensive linemen on the front lines this year, and has been pretty solid for him. I think in both the pass and certainly, I think that he's somebody that you just can't easily replace because of his senior leadership and veteran presence on the field. So looks like they're going to go with Paul Mubenga. You could probably, if your listeners heard, Brian Kelly had some really good things to say about Mubenga and his development. Mentally, I think it's just been the physical development that they've been trying to get him up to speed on. But I think he'll slide in well next to what they got with that veteran group already, and we'll see if they can't, kind of recreate or try to, at least, kind of overcome that loss in the short term and see if they can't get Dellinger back, at some point later in the season.
We know the run game's been a huge topic of conversation. We've talked about it a ton. Statistically speaking, Alabama doesn't do an awesome job against the run. Do you think LSU will be able to move the ball a little bit on the ground in this game?
I mean, you certainly hope so. You certainly hope they spent the last couple of weeks trying to find some answers there. I mean, look, in SEC play in particular, I think they're giving up around 155 yards a game on the ground, 240 in the air. So, that's nearly 400 yards of offense in SEC games that Alabama's defense is surrendering to their opponents. So, I think LSU is going to have some opportunities to move the ball offensively. I think, it's going to have to start with Nussmeier in the passing game, of course. But I do think that there will be opportunities throughout the course of this game where the holes open up, and it's going to be on Caden Durham, on Josh Williams, hopefully a little bit of Caleb Jackson as well, to kind of just, find something and help them out a little bit in the passing game and complement them some. So will be interesting to see kind of how they do it. I mean, that we've seen a tale of two run games the previous two games. You had the Durham 100-yard performance against Arkansas, and then just nobody could get going against Texas A&M, which I do think was probably one of the better fronts they've faced so far this year. I think LSU's got a chance here to kind of move the ball a little bit more consistently in the run game, and if they can do that, when LSU's run the ball well this year, they've put up their most points of the season, whether it's against South Carolina, whether it's against Arkansas. When they've run the ball well and complemented the passing game, they put up some points. So you hope that they can continue to do that, and hopefully they found some answers over the last couple of weeks.
As far as the passing game goes, Garrett Nussmeier said after the Ole Miss game that he played one of his worst games because he turned the ball over a couple times. How do you think he'll respond to the 3-turnover game that he had in College Station?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's certainly a trend right now that he's going to have to snap out of if they want to win these next 4 games. He cannot turn the ball over as much as he has been, and it was really kind of a surprise to me of how quickly that thing fell off the rails for LSU's offense in the second half. I thought they were really controlling the game on both sides of the ball in the first half against A&M, and it just fell apart very quickly for him. And it started with those Nussmeier interceptions, and if he's got to find a way to kind of get that under wraps, I think he understands the decision making and kind of he doesn't have to do it all on himself. And I think that's kind of been his problem. And certainly Brian Kelly has alluded to that, but he's got some work to do to kind of get himself out of those turnover bugs. And I think it's going to be important that he gets Mason Taylor involved. Mason Taylor's only caught 3 passes in 3 of the previous 4 games. Like, he's only gotten up to 3 catches. And early in the season, he was a guy that was getting 6, 7, 8 balls a game. So I would love to see them work him back into the offensive picture a little bit more consistently. Hopefully you can get C.J. Daniels back for this game and kind of have your full arsenal of receiving weapons. So I'll be very interested to see kind of how Nussmeier responds and bounces back. But he has bounced back from bad performances before, and I would hope you would hope that he does it again in a really kind of comfortable environment, being at home and having the crowd behind him.
I would imagine about 70% of Blake Baker's time between College Station and Saturday night is going to be spent on Jalen Milroe and how to keep him from running for 120 yards. Yeah. How do they do that?
Yeah, I mean, that's where it's got to start, right? I mean, he's obviously a dual threat guy, but I think if you want to take away something from him, it's got to start with the run. got to start with him, kind of, not being able to rattle off those 15, 20-yard chunk play runs when things break down. I think, the simple answer here, I think for me is, does LSU want to use a spy? Do they want to, have Weeks kind of following him around and patrolling that area? And making sure that, Milroe does not get out of the pocket and make things happen when plays aren't available downfield. But I do think it's a two-way street. Like, I think that not only do they have to stop him with his legs, but, Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard are very capable SEC wide receivers. So this is going to be a very important game for Zy Alexander and for Ashton Stamps as well. So it's going to take a full, 11-man kind of unit for LSU to really find those stops defensively. I think that, Milroe and this Alabama offense have been a little bit turnover prone the last couple of weeks. Maybe they can find, a couple of ways they can turn the ball over and, kind of create some momentum that way. But I think that's going to be the name of the game here, is how they slow down Jalen Milroe. And I think LSU is going to be, obviously hard at work. Blake Baker's probably been hard at work devising all kinds of creative blitzes to throw his way.
Do you think this game becomes kind of a track meet? Do you think it gets into the 30s?
I don't know, to be quite honest. I think this is going to be more of a defensive game personally. I think the way that these offenses have played, the last couple weeks, I think there's going to be opportunities for LSU's defense to, create some turnovers, get off the field. And I just don't have a whole lot of faith right now that LSU can complement the pass with the run game. And if they're going to be asking Garrett Nussmeier to throw 45 times, I think they'll have some success offensively and they'll be able to put up some points, but whether or not it gets into the 30s, I think it's going to be a little bit tough if you don't have much of a run game to kind of help complement the offense. So I think this is going to be a little bit more of a kind of a field game. We'll see if LSU can create a few turnovers throughout the course of this game, maybe get Alabama behind the chains. I know that's something that Brian Kelly spoke a lot about. Just trying to get Milroe in that offense in 3rd and long and not in 3rd and short situations. So that'll be a very big key for LSU's defense. But I don't know that this is going to be one of those 35, 31, 38, 35 kind of games. I think it could be a little bit lower scoring.
Who's under more pressure in this game? Brian Kelly in year 3 at home, or Kalen DeBoer in year 1, but already with 2 losses?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably biased, but I would probably say, Brian Kelly, wants to get this win, and LSU needs to get this win now in year 3. You look at kind of the playoff implications that are at stake. I mean, I think DeBoer obviously has a long leash. Kelly has a long leash, but I do think that, if you're LSU, you want to start to see kind of those steps towards the playoff, and this is kind of your last-ditch effort to do that. They've got to win these next 4 games to get into that playoff conversation, and I think that LSU's got the talent and the ability to do it. They just have not shown it consistently for 4 quarters yet, and they've got to be able to do that if they want to win these next 4 games and kind of get into their sweet spot of competing for a playoff spot. So that the preseason goal all along was to get into the playoff, and I think you take Brian Kelly and these players for their words, and that they want to get there. But it's gonna take obviously a real team effort here to get this done, because this is not going to be an easy 4-game stretch for anybody in the SEC. But particularly when you look at kind of the deficiencies that are on both sides of the ball, and just kind of the things that they're working against, I guess, right now.
Bama's favored by a couple points. How do you see it on Saturday night?
Yeah, I kind of coming into the year, I thought that LSU would split the Ole Miss Alabama games. I don't know that I've wavered from that. So I think it's going to be a tough game at home. We'll see if LSU can get it done, but I do like LSU's ability to move the ball offensively. I think they'll have an opportunity to put up some points, and it's just going to be, is it enough? And does the defense do its job in holding Milroe down? Can they get them off the field on 3rd and long? Is going to be really important. And I think this is going to come down to another 4th quarter. I mean, like, this has been a trend for LSU all season long. It's been the 4th quarter games, and I think that if this gets into a 4th quarter game, LSU's shown the ability to win these games. So we'll see. I like LSU maybe to scratch this one out, but I also wouldn't be a bit surprised if Alabama comes on the road and gets a big win.
Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.